Inside the Deck is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, sellers of Magic the Gathering and many other card and board games. GatheringMagic.com, #1 resource on Magic the Gathering, strategy, and culture.
We're here at Grand Prix Pittsburgh, and Grand Prix Pittsburgh is a limited Grand Prix, which means that on day one, everybody starts with the sealed deck format. What the sealed deck format is you get 6 booster packs from the latest expansion, which happens to be Gatecrash for this Grand Prix. You open them up, and you build a minimum 40-card deck out of it. A lot of people think sealed deck is just a luck-based format, that you just hope to open bombs in certain colors and that you have strong cards to support those bombs. And to some extent that is true, but as you can tell from people like Jerry Thompson or Luis Scott Vargas or Eric Froelich, who are 9-1 after day one of a sealed portion of this event, these really skilled players can do really well. And that being said, you do build your deck a bit differently.
Contrary to popular belief, sealed is not all about luck. There is some luck involved, as there is with any Magic format that involves opening random packs of cards. But I would say sealed is one of the more skill-intensive formats because it's so easy to misbuild the deck. You can ask any pro in this room, I'm sure they have at least one card that they wish they built differently. So I would say it is very skill-intensive, one of the most skill-intensive.
Normally, the difference between a game of sealed deck towards a game of draft is that sealed deck is a lot slower because you can't really sculpt the deck that you want. In sealed deck, it's kind of whatever you get, you get. So sometimes you might have all expensive cards, and sometimes you have to go 3 colors, so the games will tend to last longer in sealed deck.
In sealed, there's going to be more rares and more removal, just because you get 6 packs per player instead of 3, and because like those are kind of the cards that you're trying to play the most, that you're gonna build your deck around as much as possible. So because of that, games end up being much more about bombs than they are in draft.
Generally, drafting tends to be more cohesive because you get to draft your card pool, therefore you get to kind of plan out a strategy going into it as opposed to opening a bunch of cards and being at the whim of what's in those 6 packs. So having draft, even with less packs, you have a more cohesive card pool and therefore a more cohesive strategy. And with sealed, you have access to 3 more rares as opposed to just the 3 you open. And rares can play a big part of what you're doing in your limited games. So I would say overall the power level is higher in draft, but with sealed, you have to worry more about bomb rares.
So the traditional strategy is bread, bombs removal, evasion, and then some other stuff. So if you have bombs, you want to try to prioritize those if possible, and then next is removal, because you need to remove your opponent's bombs. Especially in the last rounds, you're definitely going to be playing against strong decks that have some kind of crazy rare, so you need to be able to deal with it if possible. And then evasion is the next one. Like I said, sealed gets kind of control-y. The board stalls out sometimes, especially in particular formats. So if you have evasive creatures like flyers or creatures that can't be blocked, that can help you win through a board stall.
New players often tend to make some mistakes when they're building their sealed decks. They could either A, make a mistake by being kind of too scared to go 3 colors, but then again, they might make a mistake of not going 3 colors or going 3 colors. It comes down to a lot, 2 colors, 3 colors. You want to play your powerful cards. Also, lots of times people tend, just because they have, say, an Obsidian, which is a powerful black-white card, they're just going to play black-white no matter what. Whereas maybe your Gruul deck is better, they might not have a bomb like Obsidian, but overall the Gruul deck is better. So I think lots of times new players might get blinded by the spotlight. Here the spotlight is an Obsidian or just a Aurelia, just a really powerful card.
So in front of me is my super awesome sealed deck. It's not the greatest, but it was the best that I could do. So you look at this deck, you think, it's not bad. It's got a decent curve of creatures, it's got some nice removal spells. The problem is the synergies are not there like it would be for a draft deck. You've got some defensive cards that are good in slow decks that want big finishers, and some more aggressive cards, and you have to figure out how to play offense and defense in this way. And so I decided to get really greedy and splash a couple off-color bombs. It's common practice to splash a 3rd color in your sealed deck. You often have good mana fixing cards like this Artifact Key Rune or this Dual Land, this Guildgate. But splashing a fourth color, I think, was a bit irresponsible on my part. I think I died several games with this card in my hand. So while you can push your mana base a little bit in sealed because you have more time to get to that third color.
When it comes to splashing, I would say the deciding factor is the power level of your deck before you splash. If your deck's already good enough, it's not worth the risk of getting mana or color screwed just to have another card. The reason to splash is if your deck is not powerful enough and you have to have more powerful cards, that it's worth that risk.
Sideboarding in sealed is really interesting. It's one of the main skill testing components of sealed. People who are very good at sealed, they can look at their entire pool, and if they have a couple different decks that they can build, they can sideboard between them as they see fit between games, and that can give you a huge advantage. If your opponent is very aggressive or versus very control-y, then you can sideboard into the deck that is better equipped to beat them. So that can be a huge skill.
For limited, you want to sideboard specific cards instead of sideboarding for a specific matchup. For example, your opponent might have a 1,000 Lashes. Well, 1,000 Lashes is pretty good. Maybe they have two 1,000 Lashes. They got a really good card pool. There's a card, it's 1 white mana. Target creature is an enchant creature. Target creature gets protection from multicolored. So a lot of people might not think that, but you could just sideboard that in, disenchant the 1,000 Lashes, and now your creature has a bonus. Another example is your opponent might have an Assemble the Legions. Really powerful card. You might not have any disenchant type effect, but maybe you have that one card from the set. It's 1 black mana, all token creature gets -1/-1. So you really have to think outside the box for sideboarding choices in a limited game.
I think that sealed and draft tend to be more exciting. You don't have to prepare a bunch as you would with constructed. You should still prepare and understand the format, but that's where the mastery lies. And it's all about how skillfully you draft, how skillfully you build, and very subtle plays. And I think that that is very good for a format in general.